Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Jordan Zion 3. So this is of course Zion Williamson's signature shoe with Jordan brand. It's his third one and it retails for 140 bucks. So if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave the link in the description box, and they changed it up a lot by adding a drop-in midsole, which I really likes. Right? Sneak peek, I guess. But yeah, again, links will be in the description box. There's this colorway and also another like white cement colorway, I believe it was. So links will be in the description box, but let's get it started right off with the Tracciones. And we have like a pod here in the forefoot, right? And it's basically herringbone, and then we have Zion's logo here with this red rubber, and then around that we have like a translucent rubber with like a kind of circles out on itself a little bit, like a ripple effect, you know. And it was really good right out the box. I didn't really have to break it in. It had amazing stops. It had really good high pitched and very loud squeak, which of course has nothing to do with performance, but I like to have a nice little squeak, you know. So yeah, the traction, especially if you're playing on a clean court, was really good, right? Now, let me preface this by saying, on a dusty court, it wasn't amazing because it's been so dry and windy out here in Cali. And I've tried a lot of shoes, right? A lot of shoes that are really good, and no shoe was really sticking that well. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, my personal experience with the Zion 3 before it got super dry and super windy it was actually pretty good. You know, I was biting through dust very well. It's a very easy wipe. And then once it got really windy and really dry, then it wasn't really sticking very well. But again, that was with a lot of other shoes as well, even with top tier traction. So I feel like it's just been really bad and very dirty as of late. So anyways, traction, when I was playing on a dusty court before it got super dry, it was picking up a little bit of dust, but once I wiped, it was actually very easy and it was biting through dust very well. You know, it's a very easy wipe, very easy slight wipe, and you're good to go. It does pick up dust pretty quickly though, so if you don't mind wiping, you should be fine. If you don't want to wipe, then this probably isn't the best option, right? And now moving on to the outdoor use and durability of the outsole, it should be fine, right? The rubber is very hard. You have herringbone, which has a lot of grooves, a lot of surface area, so you should be fine on an outdoor court with the Zion 3, right? So the traction was really good. Just take that with a grain of salt, like I said. Some of the other shoes that I was playing in that had really good top tier traction was also not biting super well because it's been very dusty, right? So there is the traction there. Moving on to the heel to toe transition, it feels very similar to Kobe's, right? If you guys don't know the Kobe 9 and like the Kobe 11s, pretty clunky here in the heel. You can see this is all rubber and plastic, so there's really no compression from the actual midsole, right? You have a drop-in midsole like I mentioned, but we have a nice curved shape, so it's not terrible, but it is a little clunky here in the heel. And then the forefoot, we have a nice curved shape. Look at that, very curved. So the shape is very nice, right? And then we have a lot of forefoot flex. Like, it's super duper flexible, very easy to flex. So it's a super smooth feeling shoe, especially when you're doing heel dominant strides down the court. So yeah, overall heel to toe transition is super smooth, besides here in the heel where it's a little clunky. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. The cushioning setup is really nice. It's one of my favorites with a drop-in midsole, right? So we have this drop-in midsole, and this foam is actually Formula 23 foam, and you can't really see it anymore, but it did say Formula 23 here in the outsole, right? So this blue foam is super duper soft, and here in the heel it has a lot of compression. Also, Formula 23 has a nice little rebound back, a nice little bounce, especially here in the heel. So that's one thing that I absolutely love about drop-in midsoles, is that your foot is right on top of that foam, you know? So you have good step-in comfort, good compression, good underfoot cushioning, and of course we have a forefoot zoom unit. It's bottom loaded, and that's one thing that I really like about this drop-in setup, because here in the forefoot they usually make it really thin, like super duper thin, which of course is really good for court feel, but for impact protection, especially when you're landing, it kind of hurts sometimes, you know. So adding, you know, you didn't even need to add like full length zoom unit. Just here in the forefoot is fine for me, and it had a nice bounce, nice compression here in the forefoot as well, which felt absolutely amazing. Of course, we have a plastic made for chain plate, of course, and good for torsional support. So yeah, we have good court feel, also bounce, amazing step in comfort, impact protection is really good as well. We have nice bounce here in the forefoot too, and it's just a really nice overall all-around cushioning setup, and I feel like most people will enjoy it. I can't really see a reason why someone wouldn't like this setup. Maybe if you don't want like a lot of bounce, maybe that's it, but it's not like it's too bouncy either, like a full-length zoom strobo unit, you know? So this is just the right amount of bounce for me, and I absolutely love the cushioning setup here in the Zion 3, right? And now moving on to the upper, so we have kind of like a textile material, and it feels really great, you know? The quality also is pretty good. It doesn't feel too glued down either, right? So it's soft, but also very, very supportive. It's thin, it's minimal, conforms to your foot very well here in the toe box. And then here in the midfoot, we have this kind of like overlay. It's a rubberized kind of material, and it's supposed to simulate like a mud print. You know, I think Zion like jumped in mud, and this is kind of like the splatter print pattern or whatever that was going on. But anyways, that's there to reinforce the material as well, make it a little bit more durable. And then for the tongue, we have an average amount of padding. It's not super well padded, but it feels pretty nice and cozy on top of your foot. It's also kind of like a half booty construction tongue a little bit, so it stays in place, it doesn't really move around, and it gives you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, we have very minimal padding besides kind of like these aren't like Achilles pads. I feel like they're more like ankle bone pads, you know, they're more on the sides of the shoe, but that does add a little bit of foam or padding in the ankle area. It's not super well padded though, right? So overall, this material is very minimal. It's a very minimal upper, and also for the $140 price tag, it's actually not that bad in my personal opinion. So yeah, this is a great material, and also it feels like it'll be very durable too, right? So there is the upper there. Moving on to the fit. So the fit was really weird for me. So I went up half a size, and I've been going up half a size for all my Nike shoes and also my Jordan shoes because Nike's been fitting a little short, right? So if I go true to size, it's a little too tight. So I went up half a size for the Zion 3, and it fits me very well. Like lengthwise, it's pretty good, right? However, this is the narrowest shoe ever. Like this is one of the narrowest shoes I've tried, I think, of this year. It's squeezing the side of my foot a lot, right? Especially where my pinky toe is like right over here. And that's also hurting my arch a little bit. If you squeeze the sides of your feet, right, you don't have as much control, and you're putting a little bit more pressure on your arch, I believe. So that's probably why my arch was hurting a little bit. So if you don't like, you know, a very narrow fit, then probably go up a full size, right? Do not go true to size. If you go true to size, I guess if you have a really skinny foot, then maybe. But for me, even for me, like I have a very narrow foot and I like a very snug fit. This is way too narrow, right? Also here in the toe box, it is a snug fit as well. So going up a size, it was a nice fit besides the width. The width is still pretty uncomfortable, and I didn't really like it all too much because of that. And I think that was my only gripe with the shoe, just the narrow fit, right? And now moving on to the support and lockdown. Support and lockdown also is really good. I mean, it's Zion's shoe. You guys remember the PG 2.5 fiasco where he burst out of the shoe doing like a lateral movement, right? So here in the Zion 3, right? So we had all of this plastic going on, right? I guess here in the forefoot, it's more just the material, but it is reinforced with this like rubberized type of material, right? So that does stiffen the upper, right? And also here in the midfoot, we have these plastic things going up, acting as a sidewall. And here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter and all of this plastic, right? And also another good thing about a drop-in midsole is that they added a sidewall as well, right? And that's something that they can do with drop-in midsoles as well. Maybe that's why it feels so narrow, you know what I mean? Because you do have a little bit more of the drop-in midsole squeezing you, and because of that sidewall, maybe that's why it's a little narrow. But anyways, that sidewall is there, of course, to prevent your foot coming out of the footbed. And also another thing that I love about this drop-in midsole is that it's sticky, right? So this texture on the Formula 23 foam, like this blue foam, it grabs my sock and it kind of like grabs my foot and keeps it in place, you know what I mean? As opposed to like regular insoles where it's like a felt material, which it doesn't grab my foot as well. So I really like the lockdown in the shoe. Of course, it is a little bit annoying when you do first put on the shoe. It kind of grabs your sock and kind of ripples it a little bit, but once you kind of get that fixed, it has really good lockdown, right? Also, lateral containment, you're gonna be good to go. No matter how big you are, you're gonna be fine, right? Also, lateral stability is good. You know, we have a pretty wide base. You have a little bit of an outrigger here in the forefoot, also here in the midfoot. I've never really seen one here in the midfoot, but yeah, we have a wide base. You're low to the ground. So yeah, lateral stability was very good, and I didn't really have any issues with heel slippage or anything like that. So support and lockdown was very good, right? And now moving on to the weight of the shoe. If I remember correctly, it's like 13 ounces, I think, 12, 13? Yeah, 12.45 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.3 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So that's pretty much average weight. And yeah, this shoe feels pretty minimal, you know what I mean? I feel like it does feel a little bottom heavy because of all this plastic. I wish they wouldn't have added all of this. I guess it does make sense because it is Zion. But I mean, this plastic is pretty hard. It's pretty heavy duty, you know, so maybe make it a little bit thinner, I don't know. But it's a very, very minimal feeling shoe because of the upper. It's very responsive as well. You have nice bounce from the cushion. Traction is overall really good. So yeah, I felt very quick and responsive. I guess besides as of late, like the past couple of days, it's been very, very dirty, very, very dusty, and the Zion 3 was kind of suffering because of that, right? Now moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is not super good, right? There's not a lot of airflow. There's a little bit of airflow through this textile material, but it's not super well ventilated, right? So overall, I would say it's not super hot, not super cool. It's around average for ventilation. And aesthetically, I really like it. This is an amazing design, and whoever designed it, they did a great job. It's a very, very big departure from the Zion 1 and 2. And I like what they're doing with Zion's line. You know what I mean? Every shoe looks different, you know, as opposed to the Currys, which every shoe looks exactly the same, you know. So yeah, I like the colorways that are coming out as well. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, yes, I love this shoe. Everything about this shoe is absolutely amazing besides the narrow fit. And because of the narrow fit, it was hurting my foot a little bit. You know, I did get used to it. You know, once I play a game or two in it, my foot got used to it. But then once I switched out of it, right, and then switch back into it, I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts again, you know what I mean? So when I'm hooping, of course, this is nice. If I'm just kind of like casually walking around, you know, or working out in these shoes, I never will wear it because it hurts, because it's so narrow, you know. So just be careful of the narrow fit, but I still really enjoyed playing in this shoe. And even if you're a bigger dude, I feel like you should be fine. Support's great, cushion is also really nice. And also if you're a guard, you should be fine. You know, it's a very responsive shoe. It feels like a Kobe. It feels like a more supportive and also a little bit heavier Kobe. You know, Kobe's, like the Kobe 11, Kobe 9 are a lot lighter than the Zion 3. So, but yeah, it's still an amazing performer. And I feel like it's a great all-around performer as well that I did enjoy playing. So anyways, that about concludes my performance review of the Jordan Zion 3. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I try to leave the link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.